I'm Yasen. I've been, for the last 15 years, I've been doing business-to-business invoicing, packaging, logistics, very serious business talk. I've been mostly focused on fraud and supply chain management and tech leadership. I married with kids. I live in Leiden. We just recently bought a cargo bike, so I have no time for either making nor playing games. But I have a friend. My friend does not have a public-facing software executive job. He doesn't have a life or responsibilities, so he gets to make very tasteful, interactive experiences. More of a sensual kind. Unfortunately, one of the games got hijacked. Kept me up at night. One of the itch.io pages got scraped and uploaded to Steam, and unfortunately, it got injected with a lot of tasteless ads for smut and a bunch of malware. So ever since we came together and we looked, okay, what can we actually do about this? Because we didn't actually see this one coming. Unfortunately, it's not a unique story. It happens a lot in the mobile space, in the web space, in the desktop space. And Godot is an open platform. It's an open source repository, and everybody can pretty much clone the master, and that makes it extremely easy to reverse engineer everything built on the master. The Godot games are a prime target because they're so accessible as well for scraping and recompiling, inserting a bunch of malware and re-uploading it. And the bad guys have all these automated systems. They have very sophisticated marketing platforms, relationships with shovelware publishers, and we have to keep ahead of the game. So today we're going to go through 3 skill trees of what we can do to prevent our games from being copied, cloned, and re-uploaded. We're going to start with the technology tree, which is more about what are the technical buttons we can press to help us buy some time. We're going to talk about IP and how to protect it. And lastly, the marketing game, which is an unpopular topic, but we're going to cover it anyway. Most of these things are probably nothing new for veterans, but I hopefully this talk can serve as a checklist for the new devs. Coming up, let's start with tech. Tech by itself is not very effective. The reality of the situation is you are shipping a digital product that can be reverse engineered given enough time. But what we can do is make it more annoying and expensive to do it automated. We're going to start with the simple. Encrypt your pack. There's a button in the Godot editor. If you check it, it will encrypt your pack given a private key. Unfortunately, this is not super effective because the private key does live in the binary that you ship, but it does give you some time, and it guards against the most basic of scrapers. Second, code signing certificates, also very handy, not very effective against guarding you from being cloned. However, if you have a valid certificate, that's an excellent evidence that you can show later down the line of prior art. And it also makes sure that the native OSs chill when you install them. My favorite part, Godot is licensed to MIT, so you can go press the fork button and suddenly you have your own Godot repo. Now, my suggestion would be to fiddle around with a fork of Godot, make some more advanced changes, maybe put in some custom logic, some kind of gameplay hooked up to your fork of the engine, and ship it with that. That makes it a lot more difficult for the bad guys to reverse engineer your stuff. But even small stuff like renaming nodes to schmodes is very effective in countering and making it very annoying for scalpers to steal your game. The hardest, but maybe the most effective technical side will be just to move always online. Now, I remember about 15 years ago that was a bad move from the big publishers, but it is an effective way to guard your game. There's a bunch of stuff you could do. You could have most of your assets live on the server and then being hydrated online. You could do some basic multiplayer. Or even if you're doing some kind of single-player scoring-based game, you can track scores and resolve game state online. That means that your core logic and gameplay lives on the server, hidden away from everybody. It can be a closed source server. Make sure not to do the symmetric Godot model of multiplayer where you ship the client to server in the same binary, because that's a given. You need your own server. But yeah, this is one of the best ways to prevent your client, your game logic from being stolen, since you're only shipping the client. For an example, I serve my dialogue over HTTP. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but dialogue isn't very big, and it makes sure that sneaky Pete's don't spoil the dialogue. We move on to IP. This track is all about ammunition. It's all about making sure you put enough seeds throughout your game to make sure that afterwards you can prove that you were the original author, and make it easy for the stores to cover your DMCA requests. So, mark your work in ways that are hard to circumvent. Games can be scraped and sold for parts at asset stores. Remember that. It's not just the game as a whole. You can get your music scraped, your assets stripped, and see them on a G2A in a couple of months. And the most important part that we learned is you want to automate your evidence process ahead of time. Much like in the business world, you want to have playbooks for every contingency. One of the contingencies is somebody stealing your game. If you know what seeds you're planting inside your game to provide evidence, you can automate the evidence gathering process. Let's start with code. Comments are easily scraped. So why not use them as variables? That's a lot harder to circumvent. Bonus points if you use them for randomization or some other gameplay act. But I covered this with legal. This counts as a valid license of your source code. Make sure you have some variables in all your files. Watermarks. Watermarks are easy to miss evident proof. Most textures can be watermarked. So we all know that Godot packages assets in an efficient way that makes it difficult to recover watermarks. So make sure to test this before you implement it. Not all watermarks are as easily recoverable as others. So we've got traditional overlay watermarks. They're usually recoverable, but not always. The crop watermarks are always recoverable, but they do eat your performance. And invisible watermarks are also an option, but I haven't gotten them to work yet. You can also watermark your sound. I've tested AudioMark, and that survives decompilation. But I've also experimented with spectrographic watermarks that are not showing up on my... Oh, that's weird. This is a little spectrograph of my license. Running on a 25,000 megahertz strip of audio. Yeah, you can overlay this on existing sound, and it's barely legible, or you can hash it in a way that you use it as a beep and a bloop. But you can extract this and show that your sound is actually copyrighted. Finally, yeah, animations. Going to the police is not very effective, especially for your nudie games. However, the online stores you're posting to do have to actually be compliant with the DMCA requests and the DSA in Europe. But you want to help them. You want to make their lives easier. And the best way to make their lives easier is to have an easily digestible set of evidence that you provide automatically, so they can very quickly shut down any clones without too much hassle. So in the last few slides, we planted a bunch of landmines, a bunch of seeds in our game. And now all we have to do now is create some kind of automated playbook to decompile your original game, gather the evidence, and print a PDF. We use just a PowerShell script for that, but you can build anything you want. The point is to test against your original. And if you get hits on your original, you will get hits on all the clones. Unless they were able to absolutely scrape all of the evidence. But yeah, then you're dealing with a really sophisticated government-sponsored theft of nudie games. Then we come down to our last tech tree. Marketing is not a very popular topic. It's not very technical, but in fact, this is really not a technical problem. It's a marketing problem. The fact is, like I said, scammers are faster at getting your product in the hands of customers than you are. They've got sophisticated automation tools. They've got sophisticated marketing apparatuses. They have established relationships with shovelware publishers, and they're able to ship your game faster than you can. So, marketing. If you want to publish your games, you have to know where you want to go. It's not simply enough to ship to itch and then wait a couple of months and see what's going to happen. And if it's popular, go to Steam and maybe plan a release for mobile. Because as soon as you enter one marketplace, the scammers will find you, recompile your game, and republish it on as many marketplaces as possible. And don't forget marketplace. I mean, I'm sure you guys have pipelines for the Android store, but not every game that is published on the Android store also has presence on the Samsung store. That's a separate thing. I learned that last year. Godot makes it also incredibly easy to ship for multiple platforms. So if you're running your game naked, make sure to have at least a presence on these other stores. You don't have to publish there, but your name should be available and reserved. And make sure to not be outdone by the bots. Devlogs, they're good for morale. They're good for marketing. And you really have to get in the habit of updating your audience. If you can do that, the blogs and all these channels are a great way to notify customers of clones, of updates, and where to get the actual copy of your game. Demos, early builds. If you publish early builds, that gives the scammers a head start if they're really focused on you. But demos are a great distribution channel. If you ship a demo and it's in the hands of customers, you can use that demo to point them to the actual release and to the real binaries. Make sure that you're not, you don't fall for the trap of Notepad a couple of months ago where the auto update got hijacked. But otherwise, it's one of the best distribution channels. Community. Even if you just have single-digit friends, family, fools, somewhere in a chat, same goes for the dev blogs. Create a channel and come into the habit of updating your users. Have them create a space for them to live, because these small communities are the most rabid dogs on social media. If they get a whiff of somebody cloning their favorite game, you can activate a whole army of fanatics to shut them down and promote the proper binaries. And don't forget your music. Publish your music separately. It's a great takedown evidence. If you publish your music to YouTube or Spotify, you automatically get content ID. And that's a great tool not only to monitor wherever your game shows up, whether it's YouTube channels or reviews, but you can also very easily shut down bad guys if somebody else is uploading your game. And again, don't forget, your game can be sold for parts. If somebody scrapes your game and finds original music, original assets, they can just strip it and sell it on stores. As you can see, the three tech trees are more like overlapping strengths. Technology by itself is just not effective. It does buy time. And with that time, lets us react to clones, lets us react to bad guys. But to be able to react, we need to have marked our assets. We need to have laid down those seeds for us to gather evidence. And with that evidence, we can go back to the stores and ask them to take down all the bad guys. But in the end, we really need to put down the marketing efforts. They're the most preventative. And we have to be there before the bad guys are. That's kind of my talk. It's a bit faster than I expected. But yeah, you have no excuse to not be there first. This is not a tech problem. The tech and the laws can help, but in the end of the day, we have to put the games in the hands of people before the bad guys. It's been great, Amsterdam. Do you guys have any questions? If not, you can applaud now.
Thank you for your talk. Any questions from the audience? I see a hand over there.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I have two questions, if that's okay. One is, in your experience, what kind of games tend to be exploited like this the most? I know the games of a sensual kind have a higher tendency, but I'm also wondering about other genres or types of games.
Well, I mean, there's from what I see from personal experience and what I see online is there's not really a pattern. What I see is usually smaller games from independent studios that usually don't have all these seeds planted, that don't seem like they would protect themselves, get targeted. First indie developers, first-time indie developers, people that aren't backed by publishers, that just simply don't have the resources to or even knowledge how to file a DMCA request are more often the ones that get got. But that also could be a statistical bias. Maybe everybody gets got, but only the people that really get hit go public with it. And a lot of these get handled by publishers, right?
Okay, thank you. And quickly, second question. I know that technology is just for buying time. You probably want to do all of these things. But what is your opinion on using some of the code obfuscation plugins and also moving some of your logic just to GD extension?
Yeah, so moving to GD extension, yeah, that could help you out. But in the end of the day, a GD extension is just a separate binary that can be decompiled. I want to move to a different topic. Actually, last week I did exactly what you did. I took one of our games and I extracted some of the logic in a GD extension on my custom Schmode build of Godot. But then I opened up a sandbox and I installed Codex CLI, and I gave Sam Altman a cartoon bag of money and asked it to decompile it and change all my avatars with pictures of Obama, and then I walked away. And then when it came back, it did it. That was profoundly scary. So even all these technological steps that we can take, I don't know how long it's going to take until they're obsolete. But yeah, the AI angle is kind of scary at the moment.
Thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions from the audience? Checking. Oh, someone over there.
Hi, I'm Nikita. I'm the GDRE tools author. Someone had asked moving to obfuscating scripts or GD extension. By far the most effective method to prevent reverse engineering of your game is to use C# and compile to native AOT. Reverse engineering tools are very primitive for that. But I would also point out that if you make your game difficult to reverse engineer, you also make your game very difficult to mod. And if you do that, that could affect long-term revenue because studies have shown that over 5 years, games with significant amount of user-generated content have about 90% greater user retention versus others. So you may be affecting your long term by doing that.
Thanks. Also, oftentimes they don't have to be able to reverse engineer the entire game. All they need to do is find a place where they can add some malware that is being run. So yeah, it's a very difficult problem to solve. But you gotta make a choice on the sliding scale of modability versus security, and security in the long term is never gonna win it. So stay open, Godot.
All right. Oh, another question.
My question is about your opinion into taking the stores and distributor platforms into account. Like on YouTube, you obviously has the content ID tagging system, which works and sometimes is not so great. But wouldn't something similar maybe work for storefronts like Steam tagging your game somehow and detecting re-uploads? What's your opinion on that?
Well, the thing about re-uploads is they do change the game somehow, right? They do inject some kind of malware. They inject some kind of ads. So it's really hard to just take a hash of a build and check on that. And yeah, it's an interesting problem. Can you make some kind of reproducible signature for a video game? You could do it maybe for assets, maybe for music. That's easy to pretty much signature. But yeah, those are sophisticated systems that the bigger stores can definitely implement. That would definitely help.
Thanks.